Welcome to the Money Made Human podcast. It celebrates at its heart the work of credit unions and their vital role in enriching our lives and communities. Brought to you by First Class Credit Union, each episode features insightful discussions revealing the meaningful impact that can be made through economic collaboration. Mostly, it's a collection of compassionate conversations about navigating life and the individual journeys we take. Good morning, members and friends, and welcome to Money Made Human, a podcast by First Class Credit Union. We're delighted today to have a special guest with us. We have Caroline Darnbrook, the Chief Client Officer with StepChange, which is a national organisation, a not-for-profit debt counselling organisation, and we'd just like to say a very big welcome to Caroline.
Thank you.
So Caroline, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I guess I want to start on the subject of debt in terms of the stigma.
Yes.
We're a lender, and we would say that debt can also be a good thing because it can help people with their lifestyle, with their hopes, their dreams, and help them at times where they might need a little bit of extra money. But I think today we're going to talk a bit about problem debt. But I thought it would be good to start with the topic of stigma, and we have to try and eliminate that, I think. And I just wondered what the view is from StepChange on that.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And it's something that is absolutely at the core of what we're wanting to do. As part of our strategy, we are very keen to eliminate that stigma. One of the reasons is because people really delay coming and sorting out any worries that they have because of the stigma that exists around it. And it's really interesting because in a recent poll, more than 1 in 4 people wouldn't talk to their loved one if they had problems with their debts, which is a really huge statistic, which tells you how widespread the challenge is. So why is that? Well, I think one of the key things about that is the fact that we don't really generally talk about finances in general, and so therefore it makes it more difficult when there's a problem. But also there is a belief that people who get themselves into difficulty with debt have maybe mismanaged their money or not done things in the right way. But the people that we are helping and supporting every day, that's not the case. It's very often things that are outside of their control that have led to them being in a difficult situation. So that can be things like being made redundant, it can be ill health, or it can simply be that they've had some situation like a relationship breakdown that just means that they find things difficult, and it can be short term or it could be much longer term as well. So it really is something that we need to think about, both for the people who are suffering and really finding this difficult, but then also making sure that we're talking to wider society and making sure that people understand that actually debt can happen to anyone.
And there shouldn't be shame attached to that.
Absolutely, there really shouldn't be any shame at all, and I think that is the key thing. And I think where the stigma exists is because people do feel ashamed, and we constantly hear from our clients that one of the reasons why they didn't want to seek help sooner was because they found it really embarrassing. They felt shame, they felt as though they were going to be judged, and that's really, really difficult to deal with for anybody. So one of the things that we are always very proud to say is that we absolutely wouldn't judge anybody, irrespective of how you have found yourself in those difficult circumstances.
Same, from a credit union perspective, we would say that too. There's no judgment. The one thing we say all the time is life is really tricky. It's so tricky to navigate, and
Absolutely.
all the things you alluded to, the changes, life events, circumstances, it is hard to navigate. So we understand, and there's no judgment. And I think what we're going to come on to is no matter what, there's a solution.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the most important thing is to speak to either your lender. So as you've just talked about there, credit union will absolutely support people. Or if you feel that it's better than coming to somewhere like StepChange that can really help you, and you can share your circumstances and we can find the right route forward for you. Everybody's circumstances are different, so there is no one size fits all. So that's the important thing that we will take time to do, is to understand you, your circumstances, and then give you the right help and support to get you where you need to be.
Perfect. Let's come on to that, Caroline. First of all, tell me a bit about StepChange and the history of it, because you guys have been around for a while now, over 30 years, I think.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, we've been around over 30 years. We are the UK's leading debt charity. And by that, we support people with debt advice, which is always free. So we will talk to you and provide some information about your individual circumstances that hopefully is helpful. And then we'll put you in touch with the right people, or we'll provide you with the right solutions to get you to where you need to be for the way forward that's right for you. That can include things like making sure that you're claiming the right benefits that you should have. A lot of people that come to us actually are missing out on income that they could have, that we can help with. Sometimes it's as simple as doing a budget and helping people with the budgeting, and then maybe looking at things that they could change, or looking at those, anything around how they're spending their money, what income they've got coming in, we can support with that. And then equally, if we have a situation whereby the debts are of a situation where you need to be looking to pay them off, we've got solutions for that as well, where we can support and say, actually, this is how we can help you best moving forward. And it's all based on what the clients have told us, their own circumstances, and what's best for them.
And you have a slogan, I think, which is debt happens, let's deal with it.
We absolutely do. Yes, that's right. And I think that's the thing. So part of that's to acknowledge the fact that debt is a thing that happens in life. And actually, it's not a bad thing, as you talked about earlier. But if you find yourself in one of these circumstances that we've talked about, where it is becoming overwhelming and difficult to manage, then there is help out there. And so therefore, if it does happen, then let's deal with it. Let's get things sorted for you. And the thing that we hear repeatedly from all of our clients is that when they've spoken to us, they feel like a weight's lifted off their shoulders. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that I would encourage anybody to, if they are struggling, they've got any concerns, speak to somebody about it. It's the most important thing to do.
Oh, for sure. And just on that, as one of the lenders, we would encourage our members to come to us in the first instance, come and speak to us. Why do you think people struggle to go and speak to their own lender? Is it coming back to that issue of feeling shame or feeling concern? But why is there a little bit of a disconnect, do you think?
So I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I think it is very much around the fact that they do feel that shame. They think that people will judge them. I think there's also a fear of what the consequences would be. So if people talk to anyone, what will happen as a result of that? So might that mean that actually they're put in a worse situation? Whereas actually, if you are talking to the right people and you're raising your concerns, actually most people will help. The lenders that we work with will try to help their clients. And so therefore, I think it's one of those things where it's almost the stigma is preventing people from coming forward because they fear that something else is going to happen to them.
Which is terribly sad to hear when most legitimate, responsible lenders, we have to offer solutions, we have to listen, we have to care. And, for anyone that happens to listen to this, that are members of our credit union, we would say, come and talk to us. We can help, for sure.
Absolutely. Yes. And I would encourage anyone to do the same thing. I mean, talking to your lender is always the first thing that we would think is the best way forward. Obviously, we're here for those
Yes.
people that feel that they want an alternative route.
Part of our strategy is around really trying to connect with our members and making them feel important.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see the banner behind me, Money Made Human.
Yep.
We want everyone to feel like an individual, to feel respected, and to feel that they're being treated fairly.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very similar to the ethos of StepChange as well.
It absolutely is. It's really important to us. And I know I've mentioned before that we'll look at each individual circumstance, but it runs through the heart of everything that we do, because we really do want people to feel valued. We want them to feel heard as well, and that they know that this is actually something that we're going to help and support people with. We're with you shoulder to shoulder, not leaving you on your own. And I think that's really important.
I love that. On your website, you have a little slogan that says, you should always pay your debts if you can afford to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a really important part of this cycle and story. And for those people that can, that's great. And for
Mm-hmm.
those that want to be able to come and speak to their lender and look at options, also
Mm-hmm.
great. What would happen if someone called StepChange? What would their journey be with you?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've got two ways of interacting with us. So you can either give us a phone, or you can also come on and we can do the same support online. So they both follow the same process. So what I'll talk to you through, whichever way the clients prefer, then they would be able to access either. And we start off by looking at your budget. So sometimes that is the key thing for people, just to understand their circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll deal with that first. Well, then, if we believe that there may be things that you might be able to look at from an income perspective, we will look at, are there any benefits? So we have a calculator that will help people to determine, could they get some more income? We'll also make suggestions, if appropriate, in terms of where their spending is and if there's something we can do to help on that. We then understand the debts that people would have, and look at that and understand how much debt they've got and what their circumstances are. So when you look at the budgets and the income and the debts all together, we can then recommend a way forward for the client. And that will always give you options in terms of the things that you need to be considering. And that will then talk to you about whether or not it's a repayment plan, as you talked about, so that you can actually pay off your debt, but over a period of time that suits you. And very often where we can stop interest being accumulated on those debts as well. And we would then put a plan in place for you, and we make it as simple as possible for people, because what they would do is pay us one payment each month, and then we would distribute to all of the people that they owe money to. So making it as simple as possible for the client. That's if they go onto a repayment plan. There's loads of other solutions available.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of tools that we can provide people with. So some people may not need to go onto a plan. They may just simply require a bit more guidance, a little bit more support, and we will do what's appropriate for the person in the circumstances.
And like you say, it might just be that people need some extra help with the budgeting tool or the benefits calculator that are widely available. And that might just give them the little bit of extra help that they need.
Absolutely. We find quite a lot of people that come to us, they're so overwhelmed with their circumstances and this feeling of shame that we've talked about. They don't necessarily think about things in the simplest terms, in terms of the budgets. So actually putting it down and understanding that can be all they need to get themselves into a much better situation.
And I guess because your advice is free and impartial,
Yes,
they almost feel like they've got a friend or a confidant there that they can download to.
absolutely. Yes. We hear from all of our clients when they've come through the service with us, that's one of the things that they value the most. And I think it's really important that that's a cornerstone of the offer that we have for the clients, is to make sure that we are doing just that.
And I guess for some of our members, your clients, they might feel like they're alone in this, that they're the only one to have an issue with debt. or debt management, but that it's just not the case. You help thousands of people a year.
We do, absolutely we do. And I mean, it's one of those things that we will always say to anyone is that you aren't alone, but also that there are lots of other people in these circumstances that you find. And we do, we support hundreds of thousands of people every year. And, you know, in terms of the visitors to our website, we get 6 million visitors a year. So that just shows you how widespread it is. Now, those people may just be looking for the first time as, is there help available? So they might not be ready to start on an advice journey, for example. But I think that when you think about that many people coming to us, they absolutely are not alone. And therefore, we are very well capable of being able to help in whatever your circumstances are.
You mentioned also that there are other options for clients that you work with. Some of these might have further consequences for the person, the individual. So I guess they have to take some time to consider in the round, weighing up the solution versus the consequences. And I imagine you go into that in a bit of detail as well.
Yes, we do. One of the things that people are often concerned about is what any solution would do for their credit rating and their credit score, and what that might mean for the future, and what that would mean for if they were able to get lending in the future and those sorts of things. We are really, really open and honest and transparent about what we would talk to people about. But I think when people find themselves in these circumstances, it's about understanding what they want longer term and building that financial resilience. So one of the things that we are really keen to do is to understand the whole of what the person needs, but then also think about how we can help and support them through that. And one of the key things that we're looking to do is to build financial resilience in the future. So once you have been through a situation, we're able to help and support you come out the other side, and then thinking about actually what that might mean further. So when I'm talking about the credit score, we also talk about how you can rebuild that credit score and how that can then help and support you to achieve the ambitions moving forward. And I think one of the other things that we have in common with you is about encouraging people to save, even if it's a little bit, because if they're able to do that, then you've got that ability to withstand some of the things that you might see. But then also when you're coming and you're building that financial resilience, you've got a nest egg that you can actually call upon.
We love that. And you know, we still have quite an old-fashioned model here at First Class, in that when someone borrows from us, we also put some of their repayment back into a savings pot. So when their loan is fully repaid, they will get money back.
Yes.
And that helps the you know, continual prosperity. So we're absolutely aligned on that, and we love that message of getting people to save.
Absolutely. I think it's such an important thing. And also what we do see is that people that are on one of our plans, for example, they are regularly making a payment. And so therefore it's nice to be thinking that actually they're in that habit. So how can they continue that habit, but in a different way?
It's fascinating. You talk about the journey afterwards. We had a member recently that contacted us that had difficulty with their debt, and the member called us to say, I just wanted to let you know, but I've made my final repayment. And there was such pride in that.
Yes.
In their journey, but also being able to call us. We didn't need to know that. We would see that, but they wanted to tell us that there was pride in the accomplishment of repaying the debt. And I'm sure you see stories like that as well.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And it's fantastic when you hear that people have made that final payment, and we obviously get the message, oh, I'm debt free now, and all of those sorts of things. And it's probably, if anybody looks at our social media channels, it's one of the things that people will comment on the most frequently will be, yes, I came through and I'm debt free. I'm so proud of what I've been able to achieve. So those feelings of shame and embarrassment at the very beginning turn into feelings of joy and just absolute pride at the end of having become debt free.
And it's not necessarily an overnight fix.
No.
Can put for our mutual clients or members, it might take them several years.
Yes.
But there is light at the end of the tunnel.
That's absolutely right. And yes, I mean, I think you make a really good point there. This is not a short-term fix.
No.
However, it's one of the things that we will work with the client all the way through. So we wouldn't just put someone onto a solution and then leave them. We are in touch, and we will, if their circumstances change, for example, we're right there with them. And we have a lot of clients that may want to change their plan at some point through the duration, but we are there right with them all the way through. And that's why we have good success of people coming through and actually becoming debt free or getting themselves to where they needed to be.
Brilliant. Can I ask you a difficult question, Caroline? We work with the illegal money lending units from the national governments, and we work with them to try and combat loan sharks in particular.
Yes.
I can imagine that there will be people that will come to you that have borrowed from a loan shark, and they're finding that really difficult to get out of. I suppose the first thing I wanted to say is we're credit unions are a safe place to come and tell that to. But I just wondered what happens from your perspective when you see that type of activity, and why people should really come and tell you that.
Yeah, so we also work with the illegal, and it's one of those things where we will absolutely deal with that, and so they've got nothing to worry about if they want to come and call that out, and we will support them in the same way that I've described that we would help other people to make sure that we can deal with that for them. So yes, we do, and we work very closely with the organisations to make sure that we're looking to try and combat that as well.
Definitely, and I guess that's why credit unions might be a good option.
Absolutely.
If you're considering borrowing, check with your local credit union, your national credit union, check with them first of all.
Absolutely right. I think that's a really strong message, and one that we would 100% support.
Thank you. I think it's a really important topic that we need to talk about more, because we're seeing people living not just with shame, but with fear.
Yes.
In particular, in terms of borrowing from loan sharks. So,
yes.
I think any collaborative work we can do to conquer that is a good thing.
I completely agree, and we're in exactly the same space as you. I mean, it's one of those things that there is a lot of harm that's created through that. And so, yes, I think the most important thing, like you said, is speak to someone, make sure that you're raising it, and don't worry that is something that you need to do. And we will help and support and guide.
I was kind of fascinated by your job title, Chief Client Officer, which makes me think there's a lot of care there for your clients.
Absolutely. They're at the centre of everything that we look at. And I think I mentioned earlier about we've just launched a new 5-year strategy. One of the key things that we're looking to do is we've got an unwavering focus on long-term client outcomes. And what I mean by that is exactly what we talked about earlier. We're not just interested in getting someone sorted with the debt today. What we want to do is set them up for the future, provide them with that financial resilience, that ability to deal with things in the future. And that all comes from the fact that the clients are at the heart of everything that we do.
Yeah. I mean, it's money made human vocalized. But, it's interesting, because I'm not sure if someone was thinking about going to a debt charity, I'm not sure their first thought would be, I'm going to be really important in that journey. So I think it's great to have that message for them.
Yeah, I think it is too. And I think that it's one of the things where I think it's really important that people know that however they come to us, we will be treating them as an individual. We have, you know, fantastic experts who will help and support them through whatever their circumstances are.
Mm-hmm.
And as I say, it's really critical that people know that they are not a number. You know, they are absolutely, their circumstances the most important thing we'll be dealing with at that time.
What's informed your personal values that you've brought into this role? Because I think that's quite important in terms of the way you influence the shape and some of the strategy that will have a trickle down to your clients. But what's helped you shape your values?
So, so my history before coming to StepChange was very much in financial services. So I worked in banks first, and then went to a building society before coming to StepChange. So, I've been in the lending place myself, and I think that you understand, you know, how people borrow, why they get into those circumstances, but then also those things that can really hit people hard, as we talked about, those life shocks.
Yeah.
And coming to StepChange, I spend a lot of time listening to calls with our clients. I also spend quite a lot of time with our clients in terms of focus groups. So if we're talking about a particular topic, to really understand, you know, what has affected our clients and those sorts of things, and just understanding that really helps to shape what people need,
Yeah.
and really understanding how people have got to where they are and how we can best help them, what they need, what their support is. And that really helps to inform, and it's continual because things change all the time. So I've been at StepChange for 6 years, and the things that we're starting to see now, and the types of debt that people have is changing, it's evolving, and the cost of living crisis obviously has had an impact on all sorts of people. So by way of example, we've got a lot more homeowners now who come to us than we used to have. And that's simply because of the things that have impacted over the course of the last few years. And I think it's one of those things that's really important. We've got to keep up to date with the things that people are experiencing so that we can appropriately help them. So I think that drives me a lot. And hearing people's circumstances is absolutely at the heart of everything, really.
I love that. I love that you mentioned life shocks because we can all have them.
Absolutely.
And I guess from a credit union perspective, we would say to anyone out there that has a life shock in terms of a redundancy, a bereavement, to get in touch with us quickly. You know, you don't have to wait until you're in difficulty. If you've had a sudden change of circumstance, we can help from the off. Would you guys say that?
Absolutely. And the sooner you can deal with these things, the better. And I think that one of the things, so typically we know that our clients wait about 12 months before they come and come to us when they've realized that they may have a concern. In that 12 months, obviously the debt is rising, it's getting worse. And more importantly, it tends to be that people get more and more worried through that period of time. And that's obviously a really difficult thing, because they're probably, the life shock may well have been something that's really difficult to deal with as well.
Sure.
So it's really difficult. So it just feels like it's a bit of a spiraling that happens. So we would 100% say to people, speak as soon as you are able to do so, get some support as soon as you're able to do so.
And even if you think even if you're not in difficulty, but you think you might be, tell us beforehand.
Yes, absolutely.
Because there are preventative measures we can take that stops you getting into difficulty. Plus, as we said, life's so tricky. You're dealing with a sudden loss or, you know, something difficult. You don't need that on top of it.
No, absolutely. I think that's absolutely right. So the earlier someone can, like you say, contact you, the better.
And what are your hopes for StepChange in the coming years? What are you hoping to see or build or, you know, improve? What would you like it to look like?
So I guess there's a couple of things that I would say. So the first one is I would really love to be able to tackle this issue of stigma,
Yeah.
and really help and support the people who need it the most, but also in a wider societal I can't say that, you know, the wider society, making sure that people don't feel that this is something to have as a judgment. I think that's a really important thing for us. And then moving forward, being able to help and support people in the best way possible, to get them to what they need, and building up that resilience, and making sure that people have got really good positive outcomes at the end, of being involved with either ourselves or anyone else who may be looking to support them. I think if we can do that, then we've done exceptionally well, and it's one of the things that I really believe in, for our clients, because at the end of the day, we'll be putting them on a better footing.
I really hope that anyone listening today that has debts, that needs help, will see that there's good people that they can turn to. There's good organisations. I think you've really embodied that in this
Thank you.
conversation. And I hope it will give someone the courage to pick up the phone or send an email or to contact their credit union in the first instance. We will help, we can help. And even if that helps one person today, that's a good thing. I also have some questions from the team. Caroline, you were going to say.
I was just going to say, if anybody in the first instance wanted to find anything out about us, then they can visit our website, which is www.stepchange.org. So nice and easy, but it's definitely worth going and having a look. There's loads of information available for people there. So if they're not quite ready to come and talk to us or to go through a debt advice journey, then they can definitely come and find out some help and support if that's useful.
And we'll certainly put those details out. Let me, Caroline, ask you some questions from our team.
Yes, no problem.
So I don't know what they are. Some of them will be related to life as well.
Okay.
So just to warn you. So we've got 7 questions.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a number.
Oh, I'll have number 4, please.
Number 4. Let's see. Oh, here we go. What's the biggest? It's quite a big question. What's the biggest financial challenge people in the UK are facing just now, and how might credit unions help with that?
Oh, that is
It's a biggie.
It's a really good question. I think there's a real combination of financial challenges that people are seeing, but if I can look at one thing, it's the impact of price rises and the cost of living, that has affected pretty much everybody, and that is something that we are hearing more and more about, and have done obviously for the last few years. I think if you were going to put it into one thing, I think that's it. I think people then need to understand how has that impacted their own personal situations. So if they are finding things a bit tighter, a bit more difficult, then I would suggest that that's a good thing to go and talk to the credit union about. And obviously, if you're really feeling that you need some different support, then obviously come and talk to us. I think it's a really important thing. But yeah, in general terms, that's the biggest thing that we've seen. It's a really big impact.
And I think alongside that, the cost of living crisis we're coming off the back of, there's also pressure on social media,
yes,
for material things. And we're going to see more of that as we head into Christmas as well.
Yes, so we always look at those sorts of things, and actually we've just gone out with a messaging about getting ready for winter, because there's 2 things that happen in winter. So the Christmas is always a big impact, and coming up to that, but also generally household bills go up in the winter as well, so getting people ready for that is really, really important. So you're absolutely right. It's the general things really that just to try and think about them in advance is always a sensible thing to do.
In advance, for sure. Give me another number.
I'll have number 6, please.
Well, I think we've touched on this, but it's a good subject to keep talking about.
Okay.
Why do you think there's still such a strong stigma around debt?
Mm-hmm.
And what can we do more of to stamp this out?
So yes, completely agree, and yes, we've talked about that. But I do think that it's important that we showcase the fact that debt is part of life, and the fact that it does happen, and sometimes usually based on circumstances, people can get into difficulties with debts. That's not the individual's fault. There is no blame attached there, and I think it's that we need to shift, because the stigma attaches because people think that people have got into debt because they've not necessarily handled things in the right way, and that's absolutely not the case. And I think knowing that people can get into debt difficulties, there's support available, and it isn't something that people should feel shame for, is absolutely vital. So spreading the message is really important for us.
Most people are trying their best to just navigate life.
Yes.
And things happen. But in the most cases, that's what we're all just trying to do, I think. Yeah.
Exactly right. Yes.
Yeah. And it's tricky. Okay, we've got 5 questions left. Give me another one. Give me another question.
Let's have number 1.
I love this question.
Okay.
What is one thing you do that brings you joy?
Oh, that's a really good question. I love working at StepChange because every day I feel like we are making a positive impact on people's lives, and that really does genuinely bring me a huge amount of joy. And when I hear back from clients that it's lifted a weight off their shoulders, or they've become debt free, or any of those things, that is just absolutely fantastic. From a personal perspective, spending time with my 12-year-old son is also hugely rewarding.
It's everything. It's everything.
Yeah.
There's one other question here, and I do need to ask you this because I think it's such a great question to end on.
Okay.
And the question is, what's an inspiring turnaround story that proves debt doesn't define someone's future?
Oh, that's a fantastic question.
It's so good.
It is a wonderful one. So I'm actually going to talk about one of our fantastic debt advisors, one of our experts, who actually found themselves in financial difficulties, came to StepChange for some support and help, went through the process that we've described, went onto a plan, and came out the other side. And she helps people all day, every day, with the same challenges, and she can empathize with people in a way that is just so fantastic. I've been privileged enough to be able to listen into some of her calls with clients, and that's a phenomenal turnaround story where someone has used their personal circumstance to go and help other people. And for me, that's really inspirational.
Brilliant. What a great way to end our conversation. I think we just made money human today.
I think so.
Which I appreciate. For anyone listening, we'll put the details about StepChange online. We'll also just make mention of any other pathways that might be helpful for anyone that's struggling in terms of mental well-being, because we know that debt can sometimes be a burden. And I think it's important they have others to reach out to. We're really grateful to chat to you today. And in fact, we work in partnership with StepChange a lot of the time. So, and super grateful for that. And thank you so much, Caroline, for joining us on Money Made Human this afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Money Made Human podcast. We're grateful to spend time with you and hope you enjoyed it. If you want to join a credit union, choose us.
With love, until the next time, First Class Credit Union.